All right, now to help us make sense of what is happening at this moment on the war front between Russia and Ukraine, we're being joined by retired Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Davis, who's joining us live on this broadcast. Colonel Davis, this is a pretty critical moment where the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky met with Joe Biden. He's said to have presented a victory plan to the American president, but the American president has stopped short of green signaling the long-range missiles for Ukraine. Why do you think that is? Is America not convinced about Ukraine's victory plan?
Well, forgive the laugh there, but it's just painful to me to watch this belief that so many keeping alive, that if only the Ukraine side got long-range missiles, that somehow that's going to change the course of the war, and it's not. Those long-range missiles, number one, we don't have enough. The Secretary of Defense Austin expressly publicly said that neither the U.S., France, nor the U.K. has enough in their inventory to even give to accomplish a long-range missile campaign that would have to be done over many months and a large number in order to have any kind of real effect. It doesn't even consider the fact that Russia has very good air defense systems and electronic warfare systems, which means only a small portion of those missiles probably would get through anyway. And as you said at the outset, it risks retaliation by Russia. The real factor here, the real thing that is just not getting any kind of coverage at all, is that this war is practically, fundamentally already decided, because it's not about how much money they get, the Ukraine side, it's not about how many weapons, whether they can use this or that long range, it's the manpower. And Ukraine simply doesn't have the manpower. In some of the critical areas of the front, they are outmanned somewhere 8 to 10 to 1 in many cases. And of course, they're out firepower as well. There is no path to a victory here for Ukraine. And I now argue there's not even a path for them to hold what they've got.
I think that's an interesting assessment that you've got. And a lot of people are in fact turning around and saying that, listen, the reason as to why the West needs to back Ukraine more is because probably Russia at this moment, even though it is putting up a front of being in a very strong position, has been repeatedly issuing nuclear threats. Yesterday, for instance, we saw Vladimir Putin change Russia's nuclear doctrine. Why do you think Russia needs to change their nuclear doctrine if Russia is winning so convincingly?
Number one, because now then what's been on the table, I mean, as you've been talking about here, is whether the West would, in the view of the Russians, directly enter the war against them, in which case they think that does change a red line. They actually said that's a red line, that they would now take different actions. And they didn't say that they would immediately use nuclear weapons if long-range weapons were used, but that they would reserve the right to do so. But now I think that there may be an additional reason for them to make that threat, because when you look at the force dispositions and where Russian forces are right now, there is, according to the Ukrainian intelligence services, somewhere around 200,000 to 300,000 Russian forces outside of contact arrayed around the northern part of that country. If Russia launches in the context of a weakened Ukrainian line, a large offensive, maybe to take the city of Kharkiv, or possibly even try again to take the Kiev, then there'll be a real risk that those lines could break, because Ukraine simply doesn't have enough manpower to stop an additional 200,000 forces. And that's when there may be real risk on the Western side to intervene on on behalf of Ukraine. And I think that may be the bigger reason why they're changing their doctrine now, to warn against that kind of an outcome. It could get a lot worse in the near future. We'll see.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much indeed, Colonel Daniel Davis, for joining us and getting us that perspective. For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.